Hello! So for those of you who usually see my videos, I usually speak in Hebrew. But today we have a beautiful interview I had with Todd. And I just wanted to make a quick intro to the interview. And you don't have to watch the intro. You can just skip to the time that I wrote down here. And okay, so who's Todd? So Todd is a certified facilitator of the work of Byron Katie, which is an amazing method for identifying and then questioning our stressful and limiting beliefs. Okay, it exists like, I think 34, maybe 35 years, and it's amazing. People use it all over the world. Just revolutionary, okay? Now, I was first exposed to Todd because he actually had a video with Byron Katie, the one who created the method. And it's a beautiful video, and if you search on YouTube, not living up to my full potential, Byron Katie, then you will see it, where he's I think almost like half of his age year, but I don't know about that. I think it was like 12 years ago or something, or 13. And I watched this video lots of times because I could very much relate to it, being a young man, struggling, financially, and feeling like I'm not living up to my full potential and caring what other people think and all that stuff. So it really resonated with me. And then just a few months ago, I met Todd on the helpline of the work of Byron Katie. So we got to talking, and I discovered he has a YouTube channel, and I watched some of his videos, and then I had questions, and he agreed that I will interview him. So without further ado, I really enjoyed the interview, and there are, things that were so meaningful to me personally, and I think you will like as well. And enjoy.
All right, so thank you for just inviting me to do kind of a little bit of question and answer with you, and to kind of connect in this way. So I'm looking forward to speaking with you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so the first question I have, and thank you for being so open to that. So the first question I have is, I saw you actually being facilitated, and the thought was, I don't have a home. Do you recall that? And I was actually surprised to hear you say yes to both the first questions, and quite quickly also. So I mean, I know that I know that I have this prejudice of like facilitators being so enlightened that you must say like no to the first question every time. But also it looked like you, like the quickness of the response, like like almost made me contemplate that I'm not doing the work right or something. And because I usually take, like, I close my eyes and like I take a minute or two, and I don't know if you have something to say about it.
Yeah. Thanks for bringing this up. And yes, questions 1 and 2, even though it's just a yes or no answer, can be a chance to really meditate and consider, and like you say, close your eyes, take your time to find what your answer is. And but there's no absolutes in how you do it. Like sometimes it's really these questions are asking me to check in with myself and to see what I find there. And sometimes it doesn't take that long. I just check in and it's, yeah, that's a yes.
Yeah.
And so what I tend to trust is what is coming out of my heart, what is coming there. And sometimes it's a yes. Sometimes it's like, even though there's a little bit of, intellectually, I might be able to say, oh, maybe that's a no. But for me, it's still a yes.
Yeah.
So I trust that because the work it's getting in touch with the part inside here that is stuck, the part that's stressed. And I'm letting it answer the questions, not the wise part of me that knows the answers or whatever. And I also find that yes, the answer yes to is it true or can you absolutely know it's true is actually often that is my real answer. Like they're actually, I often find that with want questions. I want this. And is it true? Yeah, I really do. Can you absolutely know it's true? Yes, I can. So I don't try to make it the answer to be no. I just trust whatever it will be. But so it's both things. Yes, you can take some time, and I do like also to take time and slow it down. And sometimes I like to go faster, and so I give myself the freedom to go either way. And then it's the same idea of checking in, seeing what I find on the inside.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I thought maybe it kind of reminded me, like hearing you, how I think like you're supposed to answer like in Zen, where they ask you a question and like just say the first things that comes up. So I thought you might be doing that, but anyway, I thank you for your question. Yeah. And yeah, and another thing, I don't know if it's like a question necessarily, but just to see if you have like a response to that. I heard you say, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think I heard you say in one of your videos that it's like when we have, or when you have problems, it's like you maybe first try to solve them, and then if it doesn't work, you do the work on that. Now, I'm not sure you really said that, but I don't know if you have something to say about that,
Sure,
of like
sure.
these two approaches.
Yeah, like, the work in one sense, if all else fails, you always have the work.
Yeah.
I think that was the main point I was trying to make. Is like, even if you try to solve things and you can't solve them on the level of action and problem solving, then you can question your thinking and you can solve them there. Not solve them, but find that there's no problem, basically.
Right.
That's what the work does. The work doesn't solve problems. The work shows you again and again that it's not a problem. So that is a quote unquote solution, but it's not a typical solution. It's not like what we think of solving a problem. So if I have a money problem and I try to solve the money problem by getting a job or trying to find more clients or try to spend less money, those are actions that I can do to solve a problem. But even if I try all those things and I still have the not enough money or it feels like not enough money, then I can question my thinking that I don't have enough money, and I start to see, oh my God, I have enough. I have more than enough. And I start to see all the resources I have, and I start to feel that feeling of fullness that comes from seeing that there is no real problem. There was a problem in my thinking that I didn't have enough. And from certain perspectives, that's true, right? I may actually need some more money, but do I really need more money? And so when I question it, I find out, no, it's fine. I'm okay. I'm okay. So this is like, I find this to be a really important concept that, like my podcast is called Wiggle Room. And I love that title because it means, I'm stuck, I'm caught, and like I want to just find some way to wiggle myself free. And there's two ways to do that. One is the way we've always done it. Find out ways to make more money, find out ways to solve the problem, all of that. And now we have this other way called the work where you can find the wiggle room on the other side where like the thinking starts to relax and starts to see, oh, it's not such a big problem anyway. And my favorite way to do it is both, right? Like do the work and take action. Do the work on my thinking, say about money, find out that I have no pressure. I can just be fine with the same money I have. And at the same time, explore, research, how can I make more money? How can, like both things. And then I have the wiggle room is like opening on both sides to allow me more freedom in both directions. So that's my favorite way to do it. Doesn't mean that you have to like when you were asking the question, it's not like a sequential thing. Oh, I first try to solve the problem, and then if it doesn't work, I do the work like that. It's more like there are two options. I can try solving the problem, or I can try doing the work, or I can do both. Like there's a lot of options there.
Cool. Yeah, it amused me to think that like your version of enlightenment is like so much wiggle room.
That's it. Infinite wiggle room. That would be my version of enlightenment.
Yeah, it's like wigglement. Enlightenment, wigglement.
There you go, wigglement.
I do recall though, I mean, I don't know how she meant it and if it was like a way of saying that, but I think I recall Katie in one of her books saying, like, if you have a problem, write it down, turn it around, and there's the solution.
Yeah, the solution is that there's no problem. That's a problem is a mental concept that I have a problem. I may have no money, but it's my thinking that tells me I have a problem. I just have no money. I don't have a problem. I just have no money. And my thinking is that having no money is a problem. So when I question my thinking, I find out that it's not a problem. So that's the solution. Yeah. And what happens is when you question your thinking, and this has happened to me many, many times, when I question my thinking and I see that there really is no problem, ironically, I don't just, it's not the end. For some reason, I have no pressure to do anything, but yet I have no reason not to. And so I start finding creative solutions to my problem in the real world also. Those things go hand in hand. So, I always use the example, I did a lot of work on money probably 5-6 years ago. And I came to the conclusion that I really don't need any more money. I have enough. And my partner earns money. I was earning some money. It was enough. There was no need for more money. And so I really got that, like really solidly got that. And it was like so freeing. I started feeling like I'm working a volunteer job and I just get paid sometimes too. Like feels so free and good. But did I stop charging money? Did I just go, okay, I'm just going to not play the money game at all anymore? No, I continued. In fact, I make more money than I did back then. But the feeling still feels that like it's not a big deal, right? I understand that I'm not needing more money, even if money goes down for a while. So that's what the work gives me, like that freedom, that feeling of freedom. And then ironically, when I have that more freedom, I'm actually more effective in taking action.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, thank you for that. Yeah. I also thought of other kinds of sentences in the work. It's like, yeah, like I want something, I find out that I don't want it, and then it's like he should, oh, I should, like that's the solution, or he shouldn't, and then there's no problem. Yeah, so it cleared it up a little bit.
Yeah, and I often find with those turnarounds, like I want something, and then I turn around, I don't want something. And I find that the turnaround balances the original thought. So I don't want it, I wanted it, and now I find I don't want it is also true. I find like they can both coexist together, right? Like I want it and I don't want it. But I want it in a way that's not stressful anymore, because I also am fine with not having that. So that's the balance. But it's like the attachment is no longer there. The work frees me of that needing to have it. I want it, and only that will make me happy. No, the turnaround gives me, no, if I don't get it, that will be even better. That will be great. But it doesn't mean that I now just flip and try not to get what I originally wanted. Maybe I will sometimes, but sometimes I keep wanting without wanting. And that feels like a really free place.
It's interesting. Now that you say it like that, I thought that this may be the experience of being centered. It's like, it's not that I don't want anything. I may see just value in all directions, and then I can choose, and that's freedom.
Yes.
That's how I just saw it.
Right. The opposite of freedom is I want that thing, and if I don't get that thing, I'm suffering. I'm not getting what I want, so I'm limited. Like, it's so limited. I have to have that. But when I do the work, I see I don't have to have that. I could not have it, have so many other options. That's freedom. That's like more options. That's all freedom really is. I win, great. I lose, great. Okay. Yeah. When both things are good, I'm really feeling free.
Yeah. Fearless state of mind. Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. Nice. Thank you for that. Okay. Next question. Okay. So I think my approach lately with the work was it kinda doesn't really matter what I do the work on. I just do the work, and the main value is like every time that I do the work, something in me learns to take my thoughts less seriously. And then the more specific thing doesn't really matter. However, it's not entirely true in a way. And I saw you speak about root beliefs. And you know what I mean? I don't know if that's how you called it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, to my understanding, like a root belief. Yeah, if you release it, it's like more powerful or something, and it does more change, which I try not to come from, with an agenda to the work. But regarding this subject of like regular beliefs and like root beliefs, like when do you try to find a root belief? When, I don't know if you just can respond to all these things that I said.
Yeah, sure. I also don't pay much attention to whether it's a root belief. I don't even really use that term, but like whatever, some kind of important belief, or this is like a classification, artificial classification. Like, this is an important belief, this is not an important belief, this is superficial, this is deep, and my experience is, and I think it's similar.
I just want to make sure we're on the same page. Mm-hmm. So a root belief for me would be like humans are bad, and like a regular belief would be like my boss doesn't care about me or something.
Right. So it's kind of like more general versus
Right.
more specific. Is that kind of what's going on?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, my boss doesn't care about me seems like trivial from some point of view of the whole world. Like, oh my gosh, why do I even bother with that or something? And whereas the humans are, I can't remember the belief now, but it's like more global. It feels like more important or something like that. But my experience is, and there's a lot of pieces to this topic here, so you know, keep directing me if you're not getting what you're asking. But the idea, in a way, that is more important or deeper, or more rooted, more root or something like that, is for me kind of an illusion, because it's such a general belief, like humans are whatever, humans are bad or something like that. It becomes like this huge, enormous belief to try to question, and often I don't even know what I mean by that because it's so general. So it actually becomes like an impossible kind of thing to do the work on. Whereas if I'm in a specific situation, I'm dealing with my boss, then I can I know exactly what I'm talking about, and I can do the work on that. And it will probably deal with the global belief about humans because he's a human as well, or she's a human. But one thing with those kind of beliefs is that they can be brought into the specific situation. For example, humans, I can't remember what you said, but humans are bad or something. Bring that into the situation with my boss, and then question humans are bad in that particular situation. Now it has some meaning, and it works the same as he is bad, really. It's just a slightly different flavor, and it can be doable at that point. But in general, I'm not worried about whether I'm getting to the heart of it. Like, is this the real stressful thought? Or is this the one that will just, when I do that, everything will open up and I will be just free and liberated? Like, we look for those little key, like the special one.
Right,
then I'll never have to do the work again. You know,
it's so stressful to try to find these magical thoughts.
Totally. Yeah. So what I like to do is trust what comes, right? Whatever is showing up for me, I noticed some stress reaction to something that happened in my life. Great. Let's find out what the stress is. Close enough. And when I'm writing my worksheet, I don't even worry if I got it exactly right. I'm in the ballpark. I'm close. And the work works no matter what. And I love what you said at the beginning of this question. It's almost like it doesn't matter what I do the work on. I start getting the idea that it's my thoughts that keep causing all of my suffering. So the more work I do, the more I start to see that again and again, and I stop. It's just I hold the thoughts more loosely as a result. So that's the benefit of continuing to do the work. But there is value in working on a specific thing, like something that bothered me, because that I will learn exactly how to look at that situation differently when I do the work on that particular thing. And that will be freeing in a different way than just generally thinking, oh yeah, all thoughts are, believing my thoughts kind of stresses me. So maybe I won't believe them. Whenever we step out into the generalities, that's when it stops working so well. It's like reading philosophy. It's like really amazing, but it doesn't always touch the particular stresses that I'm dealing with. So the work has the advantage of going right into the stress that I'm dealing with and bringing wisdom and all that philosophy has and everything into that one place. And now on an experiential level, it shifts. So that's the beauty of doing the work. So sometimes just in finding things, I do find that some particular thought really is amazing when I work it. great. That's like wonderful. But I don't worry about if some thought seems trivial, some thought seems big, some thought seems deep, some thought seems superficial. Like, I just don't worry about it.
Nice. Thank you. And another thing that I was reminded of now, that I saw a video of yours where you spoke about that sometimes people use the work, I don't remember exactly, but to my mind it was like sometimes people use the work to kind of run away from their problems. It's like somebody who needs, quote unquote, to get a job. It's like, might do the work on, I need to get a job. And then like try to convince themselves. So yeah, and I remember that I didn't completely agree that that's a problem or something.
Mm, yeah.
So I don't know, maybe you can speak about it again.
Yeah, and I would agree with you on that. It's not necessarily a problem because we can live our lives any way we want. You know, when I was younger, I lived in an ashram, and my ideal would be go and live in a cave and really just meditate all the time. And so that's a valid way of living too, right? And I don't need to have a job, and I don't need to do all the things that we do in the world if that's my path. Right. So there are infinite number of paths. And so if someone does the work on I need to get a job and they find out truly they don't need to get a job, then where's the problem with that? There is no problem. That's great. You're free. Freedom is freedom. No matter what anyone else is thinking about it. But it's just like I guess the point I was making is that you can kind of know the difference. If you're doing the work genuinely, or you're doing the work to kind of, manipulate or try to get justification for something. There's a difference. There's a feeling difference. I'm going to, yeah. So that's why we say if you're using the work to try to not do something, you feel that. That's different from genuine inquiry where you're really questioning, do I need to get a job? Oh my God, I don't. Wow, that's like amazing. So I think that's really the only point. It's the only way to tell the difference. You couldn't tell from outside, but on the inside, you can feel the difference. Whether you're kind of, I used to say, like reverse engineering the work. You know what that means? Reverse engineering. Like you know where you want to go, and then you set things up so that it will go where you want to go.
Got it.
Yeah. So
and then and then even, if I feel I need to get a job and I would do the work on that sincerely, then I would answer yes and yes. And how do I feel? It's like it wouldn't be stressful. It's like maybe.
Oh, say more. I'm not sure I followed. Say more.
Yeah, I mean, if like my truth is that I need to get a job and I would sincerely question that, maybe I would answer just yes. And then like, how do I react when I believe that thought? Everything's fine. It's like, I just need to get a job. It's like,
that's right. That's right. That's what I mean by trusting whatever you find when you ask these questions. There is no right answer. Really, there's no right answer. No is not the right answer for questions 1 and 2. It's whatever you find. And so if you're really, for some reason, it's your truth, you getting a job is what you really want, should, whatever it is that feels true in a way. I hate to use words because it's hard to say it, sure. that you'll just say you'll say yes, and then, or you go through the work and you find there is a little stress and you question it and you see, oh, I was pushing myself to get a job, and then you stop the pushing. But when you're done, maybe you don't go live in a cave. Maybe you do get a job anyway. But it's because it just there's no reason not to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's freedom again.
Cool. Yeah, and it answered a bit more about my first question with the 2 yeses and stuff. So that was good.
Yeah.
Another thing I'm reminded of that I wanted to hear your response about, and I don't know if I will be able to express it as well as I would like to, but I'll try. So I see like my belief system is like a web, and then I might question a thought and do the turnarounds, and my examples, my authentic examples to the turnarounds might be beliefs that right now are authentic and that give me some relief, but then as I'm supposedly hopefully progressing, maybe these turnarounds and examples are not authentic anymore. And then it's like maybe I would need to question the thought again and find other turnarounds and examples. So I don't know if you have something to say about it, but if you do, yeah.
Yeah. We're dealing with relativity, right? Like we're starting with one thing, and this is experience, like, oh, I don't want this to happen. And then we do the work, we turn it around, we find an example, I do want this to happen, and we find a genuine example for us in that moment. And that balances the original statement. So that's the relatively, we have created some balance there. But there's no absolute in that at all. And later, if I find that this example doesn't work for me anymore, or if it's even stressful, then I can question that thing. I can even question the turnaround. I can question anything. So all I'm doing is looking at one moment in time, that moment when I feel stress, and I'm finding whatever examples come to mind to balance that feels genuine to me in that moment. But I don't have to hold that forever. In fact, I usually let it go, and then we'll find out where the next stress is, and then I'll work on that and see how I can balance that. So it's kind of like, it reminds me of like whitewater rafting. If you're going down a river and you think of like you're tilting this way, then your turnaround is going to be to push and tilt the other way. But then you have to immediately go the other way again. So it's you don't just do one turnaround, otherwise you'll just go into the water. So it's always listening. That's why the work is a process. It's always listening to myself. Okay, what's left? What else is there? What more stress is showing up? And with each listening, what's the stress? I find another thing that I can balance, and another thing, and another thing. And it just becomes this ongoing balancing process that leads to more and more balance. And the more you balance, the more you can find the finer places where it's a little bit off, and you can balance those. And it just starts to become more and more balanced. So I don't worry about what the genuine example was from what I worked on last week. That's history. I'm only worried about this one right now. That's all.
Wow, that was cool. I mean, it tied all sorts of things that we even spoke about in this conversation, like together. And yeah, it really cleared some things up for me. It's like, I mean, would you say if there was sort of a target for doing the work, would it be like to find balance? Because it ties for me with why we do turnarounds the way we do. Because it's like I already have the examples of why the original thought is true. That's why I believe it. So I don't need to find more examples for that.
Right.
Now I'll find examples for the turnarounds, and that would leave me like centered and in balance.
Yes. Yes. That's it. That's how I see the work. It's like if I'm imbalanced, I have too many examples on one side, then the way I feel that imbalance is stress. So stress tells me when I'm imbalanced. And then when I do the work, I start to find the examples on the other side that starts to feel like it balances it out. Then now we have some kind of equal examples on both sides. You know that question, could it be as true or truer? Like, so there can be the balance. Both can be true, or maybe this one was not true at all. But whatever I find, there's this balancing act that happens. Now, what happens if I keep going too far on one turnaround? Then I can end up with an imbalance on the other side, right? Like, I will never work again. I don't ever want to earn money again. I don't ever, like, that can be a stress. That's like an imbalance on the other side. So I may need to question, I shouldn't work, right? And then I come back to the balance point again. The only thing that tells me that I'm out of balance is my feelings. So I'm listening to myself. When I notice it's not feeling right, then I question, and then I find where it feels right again. That's all. That's all. It's very personal.
Interesting. And I'm trying to think about a phenomena. I don't know if I am saying this word correctly.
Phenomenon, yes.
That I saw both in myself and with people I helped facilitate the work. That sometimes we tend to find a lot of examples for the turnaround to the self, especially if it's like negative.
Mm-hmm.
And then, it might be a sort of a tendency, to be hard on ourselves. It's like, oh, you want examples on why I'm bad?
Right.
I have dozens of them.
Right.
and then like, yeah, it's like, so say I question a thought like it's Todd's fault. And then I do the turnaround to me, and it's like, it's my fault. And then I have like dozens of turnarounds, and I start to cry and like feel so bad about myself. So then would you suggest maybe that I question that turnaround? It's like...
Yeah, exactly. Why would you question that turnaround? Because now the only time you would question that turnaround, if that turnaround is bringing you stress, then that's not it. So question it and find the balance again. So where I go with, like, if I'm working with someone and they start going too much on that, like, it's my fault, it's my fault, it's my fault, then I just remind them, the only purpose of the turnaround is to balance the original thought. And now we can see that that you were doing a little bit, it's like a little bit your fault and a little bit their fault. So now, like, there's a joining, like we're both had a part to play in that, and it like levels the playing field, and it feels like balance. So what happens is, when I see that it's also my fault, not only his fault, then I'm not blaming him so much anymore. But if I go from blaming him and then finding it's my fault and really finding my fault, then I'm blaming me, I'm still violent. Before I was violent towards him, now I'm violent towards myself. I have not actually done anything. I've not transcended. I've just switched the blame from him to me. But what the work offers, if you do it in a gentle way, is that you can find that place where his fault and my fault kind of work, kind of balance each other out. And okay, get it. We're both human beings. We're doing the best we can, and we both had a part to play. And it's like forgiveness happens.
Which I really love, because because then I also, it's like I'm left realistic. It's not that because I saw my fault or because I said like no to the first question, it means that like it's not true at all.
Right.
It's like I can still, you know, fire the ineffective employee, and I can still break up with the, you know, bad match of a girlfriend and whatever. It's like,
yes, exactly. This is people's fear of the work. They think that if I do the work, I'm going to be stuck with a turnaround that is like the new trap for me, where I cannot act. I cannot get a job. I cannot break up with the girlfriend. I cannot hire anyone. Like, so like, please don't make me do the work because it will be all my fault and I can't do anything, right? That would be terrible, but that's not what the work's doing. The work is just saying, listen to yourself. Do you feel some stress? Something is like out of balance. You're going too far on the blaming of the other person, let's say. So let's come back and find out where, oh yeah, I had a little part to play, and just enough to feel like I can release that person, and without going too much in blaming myself. And then the whole thing just floats. Then it's like, oh, okay, right, no big deal. We're all just humans here. And then I can take whatever action is necessary. Yeah, absolutely. That's freedom. That's freedom. So if your turnaround is binding you, it's like if it's causing you to become stuck or trapped, then that's not it. That's not like that. That's like flipping from one side to the other.
Yeah.
That's like the all or nothing. And in the beginning, maybe that's all you can do. But if you can catch that a little bit and just kind of hold those two opposites and find that balance point, that's what I see as the essence of doing the work.
Yeah. Although, I mean, for me, I know that sometimes I find out that what I thought is like almost or completely not true.
Yes.
And
that's another,
you know, quote unquote, the only one at fault. And then I apologize. I mean, most of the time.
That's different. Yeah. So there's different situations. Each situation's a little bit different. What we were talking about before is where both things are true, you know, which happens sometimes. But sometimes what I was originally thinking was completely false. Like I was completely I'm just pure projection, completely illusion. And then it's like, once you see that, oh, okay, sorry, I was crazy. I didn't see the truth. And that's also freeing. So there's a difference between, see, what happens there is you see it so clearly that you own it, and there's no real self-beating up. There's a difference between owning it's my fault and blaming myself that it's my fault. If I'm blaming myself, I'm attacking myself. It's violent. It's stressful. But if I'm just owning it, there's freedom in that. I can apologize. I can do whatever I need to do.
Thank you for that. And which brings me to another question that for a long time, my sort of criteria for finding examples to the turnarounds was, and it wasn't like a formal criteria, but just my intuition, or I don't know, from working with other methods and spiritual teachers, let's say. So my criteria for a long time has been that the examples at least make me feel a sort of a relief. And I worked with a facilitator, and maybe I didn't understand, you know, their meaning. But I think that they offered me an example, and I said, it doesn't feel good for me. And then they said, like, that's not the point of the work, feeling good. It's about the truth. But then I have a sort of an understanding or a belief that the truth, like the real truth, has to feel good because like all is well. So if you have something to say about it.
Yeah, it's what we're looking for is yes, the truth, but we're looking for my truth. So my truth, I recognize my truth because it does feel good. It feels true. It might be humbling. It might even be, some parts of me might be scared to see that truth, but there's a part of me, if it's really my truth, that recognizes, oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And it feels good. So, and you also mentioned like that this facilitator gave you an example. So that may be the example that they see, which is true for them, and it feels good for them even,
Right.
you know, but you're not seeing it. You're just hearing something from them. You didn't find that within yourself or didn't recognize it when they shared it. And so basically it's not your truth.
Right. And maybe I didn't understand what they're saying or interpreted it
right.
differently.
You might find with time that might become your truth. You might contemplate it, and after time come to say, oh my God, he or she was completely right. Oh my God, that really is what's going on. But until that happens, it's not your truth. It's just, you might as well be reading a book about something, and then this is the theories and all that. Like, the work is experiential. So experience means I have to experience it. If I'm not experiencing it, then it means absolutely nothing.
And that's why we offer examples, and because it might not be like the moment for the person or for me, like to
a facilitator offers an example, and it's just an option. From my point of view, doing the work, they're throwing some options into the air, but they may not resonate with me, and a lot of times they don't. So I just discard those. Thank you, and that's not for me. But sometimes, you know, one gets thrown out there, and I'm like, oh my God, that is totally resonating with me. And so now that is my truth. Who cares if it came from them or from me? It's resonating. So that is my criteria for a turnaround example. Is genuine, right? The word genuine is always what Byron Katie uses. Look for genuine examples of how that turnaround could be as true or true for you. Yeah. If it feels genuine, then that's it. And that's it.
Nice. Okay, let's see what else do I have here. Okay, so I think right now I have only one question, and it's kind of a tricky one. I mean, I'll just ask it. It's like, lately I was like, does the work even, like, is it helpful at all? Does it do anything? I mean, how could I know if it's like good, you know, quote unquote, to do the work? And it's like the reason I do the work is because I enjoy it, and because I feel like smarter or like wiser afterwards, like especially with the turnarounds. I call it like yoga for the mind. It's like a more flexible. But it's like, I don't know, maybe it's like before I had maybe some like higher expectations that it would like change my life and stuff like that. And I'm like, does it really do that? I mean, I don't know if I could know, you know. It's like, how could I know that if something really good happens in my life, that it's due to me doing the work? So again, if you have something to say about it, I'd love to hear.
Sure. Yeah, it's a great question. And I think basically you can't know. How can we know? How can we know that, oh, now I'm doing better? That's coming from, for sure, from the work or from just life just changed, or just somehow, who knows, right? To measure the effect of it can be done. We can play with it. You know, there have been a few scientific experiments done on the work, and you know, there's some results there. So it can be, but can you know for sure exactly what's going on? I don't know. Maybe. So I'm the same as you. I don't worry about that. I used to. Like, I want to get enlightened. I want to be like 100% free, or I want to be like Byron Katie, or anything like that. Now suddenly I'm doing the work with this motive to get that, and I'm measuring every step. Am I getting closer? Is it working? Am I not? And my mind is full of trying to get somewhere instead of just doing the work. And so where I've landed is exactly what you just said, is I do the work because I enjoy doing the work. I feel good when I do it. It feels like like you take a bath and you just feel the nice feeling, like, oh, great. So that's why I do the work. And great. It also seems to give me insights. And like you say, it's like yoga for the brain. I feel more flexible. I feel more resilient. I'm able to deal with stress way better than I used to. So yeah, there is something. I have a feeling the work has something to do with that. I really do. But can I prove it? No. and what's the end point? I have no idea. You know, so I don't worry too much about it. I do it because I like to do it. And it's kind of I recently started doing the work. I was doing the work for a long time, 5 days a week. So like almost every day, but not every day. And then I thought, why not just do it every day? Like, why not? And so I started doing it literally every day now, 7 days a week, vacation, weekend, anything. I mean, I do other things like that. So I wanted to just play with that. And what I'm noticing is I feel a little bit better. Like, that feeling is like I'm dipping into that more often. And it's something I enjoy. It's like doing yoga every day. Like, if you do it like once a week, it's nice. But if you do it every day, it's like there's a different feeling that comes into the body. And the same thing I'm finding with the work. So I do the work. It's kind of a weird thing. I do the work because I like it, and I question. I actually do kind of do the work. Like, if I didn't put any attention to like routine or regularity of doing it, I might not do it that often, just because there's so many things in life that pull me away, right? But it's enough that I'm willing to play with making it a priority even. And so it's a strange thing. Maybe there's still a motive there to get more and more free. That's probably true. Enlightenment still is a thought that runs around in my brain sometimes. But what makes it feel like something I want to keep doing, I think, is more that it reinforces itself with the experience. If I was doing the work every day and it was feeling like just terrible, like stressful, I would stop.
Yeah.
I would stop.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. So I think I have another 2 now, and you tell me. I mean, we have a few minutes, I think. So
yeah, I'll have to go pretty soon. But what are your questions?
So I've heard you say that you practice another form of meditation, and I do too.
Mm.
But I guess I know my reason, and I was curious about yours, because I feel sometimes that it's hard for me to do the work by myself, and I don't think you have that problem. And that's why I do another form of meditation, kind of. And I was wondering, like why you do another form of meditation, or maybe like what does it give you, or what does the work like lack maybe for you, or I don't know.
Yeah. I've been doing another form of meditation. I do transcendental meditation since I was 6 years old, and so my whole life I've always been meditating. It's like a habit. It's something that I have always done, and I love doing. It brings me a feeling of settledness and happiness and peace. It's one of the highlights of my day. I love to sit and meditate. And I've often thought about, the work and meditation and the differences and the similarities of them in my experience. And I see them as basically doing the same thing. They're both increasing awareness. And so it's like the analogy is like the light is increasing when I'm doing either the work or my meditation. The difference is when I'm doing my meditation, it feels like the light is sort of going up, like generally in the room, like the whole light is going up. Whereas with the work, I'm looking at one particular spot that's especially dark, and I'm putting the light on that one spot, and it's starting to, open up there. So it's like the difference between specific and general, I think, a little bit.
Right.
But they're very complementary. So whatever light has increased just from the meditation, that's also helping me when I'm doing the work. And when I'm doing the work on some particular knot, it's helping me in my meditation. So they're very sympathetic or symbiotic, I would say.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do it for the same reason, just like you said, because I enjoy it. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Because I got into meditation just because my dad did it, and then I liked doing that. We used to do yoga together and then meditate, and it was sweet. And then I got more into it, and then I got really on enlightenment. I want to get enlightened. And then that's been, that didn't quite come as quickly as I was hoping. So then I just kind of let go of a lot of that, and maybe some of that's from the work also. But now I just do those practices because they really are, they bring me joy. They bring me a feeling of being myself and happiness that I love. And so that's a priority for me. That's why I do it.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, I remember myself saying something similar, that the work is like uprooting like a specific plant, and like meditation is like going like that over, like a field or something. It's like,
yes,
although your metaphor is gentler and nicer.
Same idea. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I have still like a question or two, but I think it's a good time for us to.
Okay.
That's how I feel, at least.
It's probably a good time. I hear things rustling around up in the kitchen. Probably my lunch is about ready, so I should go. But this has been a pleasure. It's really nice to sit with you and listen to your questions and think about this together. And what I enjoy the most is your genuineness, your interest, your experience, the way you think through these things on your own, the way you pay attention to what Byron Katie has said. Like I see you as very interested in exploring this area. And so that's also how I love to be. And so it's really nice to meet, have our two minds together and to sit and think about it. It's really a pleasure. So anytime, if you want to do it again, I'm always open.
Oh, I'd love to. I'd love you. I said without meaning to, I love you, and it's true also. So, thank you so much. Yeah, I have no words to express, and it really was helpful, and it cleared a lot of things for me. And just thank you.
You're very welcome. Thanks for inviting me.
Cool.
All right. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.